Good afternoon, fellow members of the Caribbean and Latin American News Now. Thank you so much for joining. I might be posting on my Andrew Tucker TV channel. So whatever channel you get this on, welcome and thanks for joining. Now, this morning or this afternoon when the video shall have reached you, we are going to look at the topic Danger in the Caribbean, U.S. warships, Grenada's radar, and CARICOM's silence. This is a very important topic that we are going to be exploring in our discussion this afternoon. Former Jamaican Prime Minister P.J. Patterson has sounded the alarm. U.S. warships are patrolling Caribbean waters, raising tensions with Venezuela while CARICOM remains silent. Now, reports suggest Grenada may allow its airport to be used as a radar based for a base. That is a radar base. They're asking them to use it as a radar base for U.S. military operations. What does this mean for Caribbean sovereignty, regional peace, and the so-called zone of peace? Are we really a zone of peace or are we a zone of war? In this video, we expose how Washington's actions and CARICOM's silence threaten to drag the region into another Cold War-style confrontation. Now, we're going to be looking at P.J. Patterson's warning about U.S. militarization, CARICOM's failure to stand up to aggression, Grenada's controversial radar proposal, and Venezuela's response, and what's next for the Caribbean region, or Latin America and the Caribbean region. Now, Mr. Patterson in the Gleaner this morning, the Gleaner carried a story, dangerous and horrible. That is how P.J. Patterson, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, is describing the U.S. warships in the southern Caribbean waters. Former Prime Minister of Jamaica decries U.S. drone strikes on vessels in Caribbean waters, warns attacks erode idea of region as zone of peace. And notice that two Trinidadians, which I shall do another video on, have been killed, two Trinidadian fishermen, as they were traveling from Venezuela back to Trinidad, and their boats were struck and they died on the spot. Former P.J. Patterson is describing the United States, that is former Prime Minister, I should say, is describing the United States drone attacks on vessels in Caribbean waters as fundamentally dangerous and a horrible erosion of regional leaders' commitment to sovereignty in the region. Since September 2, U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered military strikes on at least 5 boats in the Caribbean Sea, which his administration claims were carrying drugs to the U.S. So on that basis, Mr. Patterson is describing this as a dangerous and frightening precedence, he's suggesting. Now, these are the words of Mr. Patterson. At our very first meeting, that's CARICOM meeting in 1972 in Chaguaramas, the 4 independent countries, Jamaica under Michael Manley, Barbados under Errol Barrow, Guyana under Forbes Burnham, and under the chairmanship of Eric Williams, then Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, declared the Caribbean to be a zone of peace. But it's what they say and what the United States decides are two different things, right? We must understand that, as we suggested before, these Caribbean nations have not been free. They have been given over to U.S. domination and to U.S. hegemony. That is what Britain did when they said that we became a so-called free nation state, or we became free nation states. Britain actually ceded us over to the United States. We are unofficially colonies of the United States. That's what we are, and that is how the United States view us or sees us, right? So we have to understand that, and the day we begin to understand that, then we'll understand what is happening in the Caribbean waters. So this is what is happening here. And what do you think about the danger that is lurking in the Caribbean Sea as far as that is concerned? Now, the Gleaner this morning also carried an editorial in which it suggested that CARICOM and the U.S. are marred, that's the title of it, despite apparently different perspectives among its members on America's aggressive naval posture in the Southern Caribbean. The Gleaner is surprised that Caribbean community CARICOM leaders haven't had formal talks on the situation, which is true. Why haven't they sat down to discuss the matter? But now that the United States has asked Grenada, a CARICOM member, to establish a radar listening post on that island to support its operations, it is urgent that they should. If Grenada's Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell hasn't requested such a meeting, CARICOM's current chairman, Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, should exercise his authority and convene one. For, with America's request, CARICOM can no longer claim, if that were the perception, to be on the sidelines of a potential hot war between the United States and Venezuela. The region, even if unwittingly, would be dragged into it. Okay, so that is what they're suggesting, that the region is going to be dragged into the warfare if there is a war against Venezuela or with Venezuela by the United States. The Caribbean is going to be set ablaze. And that is what we have to understand. Because one injustice, against one Caribbean island is going to be injustice on all. And we are going to see the effects, the horrific effects of what is going to happen to us. Many of us are thinking that, oh, this is happening in Trinidad or in the Southern Caribbean seas, but it will affect Jamaica. It will affect Jamaica. Because once the United States sets hold into the Caribbean and Latin America, and it does whatever it wants to do, as we're saying, they can kill anyone, use drone attacks, strike you, if they deem you to be an enemy combatant. Now they're suggesting that that drug traffickers are actually terrorists and enemy combatants. It means, therefore, that the United States can strike. And what if they go to people's neighborhoods and begin to strike and to kill you? That is what you have to understand. The precedence that is going to be set now is going to be the precedence throughout the Caribbean and Latin American region. So don't just think that this has to do with Venezuela or with Trinidad or Grenada. And recently we're hearing about Antigua also. Okay? And somebody was suggesting to me that, why are you talking about what is happening in Grenada? Talk about what is happening in the Middle East. We can only talk about what is happening here. We have to speak about what is happening here. And I was able to educate that person who was trying to educate me that there is also a Gaza in the Caribbean region. Haiti is another Gaza in the Caribbean, and we are silent also on that matter. And the fact that Haiti has been militarized, and we are in the process of being militarized as a region, we have to also look at the signals, the waymarks, that right now Haiti is a laboratory, a testing ground. What is also happening in the Middle East, in the Gaza area, she said correctly, we need to study these two laboratories, Haiti and Gaza, because that is what is the plan for the global agenda. That is what is going to be carried out globally. Okay, so don't think that Haiti is a special case and what is happening in Gaza is something that is unique. It might be unique now because you're not yet experiencing the cruelties of what is happening in these two countries, but it will eventually reach you if we remain silent on the matter. Okay? Now, in that regard, it is CARICOM's interest insofar as it can to use all its skills and every diplomatic initiative it can muster to cool tensions in the neighborhood, including between Trinidad and Tobago, a CARICOM member, and Venezuela. Both have traded harsh words over the issue and other matters. Okay, so that is what they're suggesting that they should do. That at this point, they should try, CARICOM should try to calm the flames, to extinguish the flames, as it were, so that these nations can sit down and have a dialogue. But as I've said before, the United States is on a quest for full spectrum dominance. That is its imperial mantra, its objective. And the Bible did say, and the Bible can't be correct because God can't lie, that the beast of Revelation, the second beast of Revelation 13, is going to cause the entire world to wander after the first beast of Revelation 13. And you've got to study your prophecy also, because God's word has to come, well, I should say God's words have to come to pass, right? And it's going to happen. Not that God desired that it should happen that way, but because he saw that human beings, in their stubbornness and in their unwillingness to reform and to listen, he saw that that is what they're going to end up doing. It's not that God controls our choices, it's that That is what he sees that is going to be the ultimate choice and decisions that we have made. And the United States has sought, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, that it wants complete control of the world. And it can only accomplish that grand feat, that grandiose feat, by killing and invading countries. Okay, that is what it has to do, because people don't want to give up their sovereignty. People are just want to give up their land. They just want to give up their freedoms, right? It has to come by force. Do you understand that? So all of this diplomacy that, the leader is suggesting, and that PJ Patterson, who sold out our sovereignty, our entire financial infrastructure, was sold out under the government of Mr. PJ Patterson and his minion, Dr. Omar Davis. So I don't know what effect their words will have, well, his word, PJ Patterson, because we're not hearing from Dr. Omar Davis, but certainly we're hearing from the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, PJ Patterson, who was under his stewardship, was not an exemplar of what is right and decent and ethical. And we just have to revisit what happened during FinSec to understand that and to know that this man did not, steward, did not lead the country in the way that it should have been led. He sold our Jamaica's entire financial infrastructure, which collapsed in the 1990s. So I just wanted to present this to you. And what do you think? Do you think CARICOM should speak out, or do you think that CARICOM has lost its mandate, has lost its authority, has lost its grip on power? Please let me know, and let's see another video. What can I say?